Who is behind the biggest identity theft of all time? You'll be surprised at what you find. What would you say if I told you the biggest identity theft ring in the world wasn't those small criminal gangs who steal your credit card or social security number or try to hack your bank account or open a loan in your name, but it was your own government? What would you say if I told you that this identity theft ring, known as a government, doesn't exist just in your country, but is functioning in most every nation in the world? What would you say if I told you that once we get out from under this identity theft fraud and the crimes that have come as a result of it and restore our republic to that which was meant to be, you're going to be saving a lot of money? You can throw out a huge pile of bills. You don't really need to pay for federal income tax, state income tax, mortgage payments, car loan payments, student loan payments, any consumer loan payment, property taxes, utilities, car registration fees, smog inspection fees, parking meters, parking tickets, bridge tolls, speeding tickets, express lane fees, state and national park entrance fees. And you don't need permits and licenses such as driver's license, business license, contractor's license, fishing license, hunting license, hiking permits, wilderness permit, concealed carry permit, boating permit, or building permits. How would you feel if all of that was lifted from your shoulders and you no longer had to go through life looking in your rearview mirror for the police? Are you interested yet? How is all this possible, you ask? Well, let's start at the beginning and work forward. The strange story begins with your birth. That lovely time, your mother's joy. Soon after you're born, someone will come in and insist that your parents register your birth. If they ask why, they might be told something like this.
Parents are required by law to register the birth of their child. Birth certificates are needed for many purposes, for example, enrolling your child in school or when applying for a passport, etc.
But this is where the fraud begins, because none of that is true. The reason they want your mother to register your birth is so they can make a corporate legal fiction out of you and control you for the rest of your life.
The way they do it is they set up what's called a legal fiction. They registered your birth. So Joanne of the family blogs, who is the living woman, became Miss Joanne Blogs, surname in capitals, a corporation.
But wait, this isn't how it was meant to be. It didn't start out that way. When the Pilgrims came over in the Mayflower and the first settlers founded the colonies and then the nation, they lived in a great freedom that we actually have not seen for 150 years now. To understand what went wrong, we need to go back in time to 1302, when Pope Boniface VIII founded the Global Estate Trust. This trust included 3 different jurisdictions: the air, the sea, and the land. The land is the realm of we the people, and it's the realm of the common or public law.
From California to the New York Island.
The sea jurisdiction was run by the British Crown, and it's the realm of corporations and admiralty law. The air jurisdiction was run by the Holy See, the Vatican, and the Pope, and it is the realm of Roman law. As we will begin to see, the Vatican came to hold the greatest power in the entire world.
In nomine Patris et Filii et Spiritus Sancti.
So what happened to those people dwelling on the land in this new nation this free nation America, and how did they come to lose their power and end up being made into corporate legal fictions by unknown and faceless government entities? Well, the people were not vigilant. They didn't pay attention. And thus they ended up like that hapless, fabled frog in the pot of water.
Now, the water in this pot is room temperature, 69.4 degrees, so he's comfortable when I put him in. If I turn the burner on low flame, his body temperature will adjust and slowly he will heat up with the water. But now, because we're raising the temperature slowly, he doesn't recognize the danger he's in. He just keeps going along with the changes in his surroundings. By the time he realizes it's killing him, it's too late.
Because the three jurisdictions had existed in some form since the start, people did not readily notice when the monkey business began and the people standing on the land started to get pushed into the sea under the crime of press ganging. And the inland piracy began occurring as the sea crept onto the land. All this in spite of the fact that it's a capital crime to change the citizenship status of an American state citizen who is in the land jurisdiction into a U.S. citizen who is now in the sea jurisdiction. In fact, when your birth is registered and you are shoved into the sea jurisdiction, you are literally changed into a dead entity.
Take the birth certificate that she registered as an informant then that she has the child, and they made a duplicate in all block letters. She didn't, they did.
So they've turned a living child now into a trust,
fiction.
into a fiction.
What they've done is really fraud, because they're fraudulently taking your child's birth certificate and make it into a dead entity.
At the same time that they incorporate you, they create a trust account in your name called the Sestua QV Trust.
And the citizen's gold, our sovereign gold. We have gold. For every pound that if you weigh 8 pounds at birth, you have 8 pounds of gold set aside for you.
Assigned to you by whom?
By the Crown.
In England?
Yes.
And in the United States?
Yes.
By the Treasury?
Yes.
And
because the United States is owned by the Crown.
The funds in this trust account are traded on the commodities market, and millions of dollars are made on each person without their even knowing about it.
So every human being that has been registered to the state or the Crown by the mother ends up becoming some kind of a bond that is traded on the stock market.
Yes.
Without you ever knowing it.
Yes, without disclosing. The dead entity birth certificate is making billions of pounds or dollars, depends on which country you're in. So your straw man is considered a dead entity and the corporation can interact with it. If you have to go to court, it's not going to be in your real name because they don't have it. All they have is the dead entity and they interact with that.
So who is reaping the rewards of the value of your bond as it's being traded?
Federal Reserve, which belongs to the royal family.
According to contract law, a corporation cannot contract with a living man or woman, only with another corporation. This is why they've created your straw man or corporate legal fiction. It's that dead entity, and not you yourself, the living, breathing man or woman, who is subject to their authority in the sea jurisdiction. And there is no lawful government in America. The entire fraudulent edifice of government exists in the sea jurisdiction, and thus has no legitimate authority over any living man or woman. And this whole massive fraud is centrally supported by the courts, which operate not under law, but under color of law, meaning a charade of law. does this mean? It means that you, the living man or woman, are not subject to their thousands of statutes, codes, ordinances, rules, and policies. Those only apply to corporations, which you are not. Once you reclaim your straw man and change your status, can escape from their web of lies and fraud, you change from being a corporate U.S. citizen to being an American standing on the land under public law or common law, which is far simpler than their millions of codes and statutes and gives you immeasurably more freedom. See, under common law, there are no victimless crimes. So you can't get a ticket for speeding, because who have you injured by speeding? No one!
Parking tickets are a contract. You do not have a contract with your council. They put a ticket on there. There's no contract, so you don't have to pay that ticket.
So what are your steps?
You send the ticket back to them.
No contract.
And you tell them no contract. They have to produce a contract where you sign to say that if you park somewhere that you're not supposed to, you will have to pay the ticket.
At this point, you may be wondering about loans, asking, didn't I sign the contract for the loan, so doesn't that mean I would have to pay it back? If I borrow money from the bank, I really don't have to pay it back? How does that work?
Let's discuss mortgages, because this is the bane of most people's existence.
What they do is they don't lend you that. They don't lend you anything. You fill up your papers and then you sign it, signature. They take that and they tell you, okay, the funds will be ready in 2 to 3 days to come back. The following day with the signature, they go into your trust fund and they get paid the $100,000. They never disclose to you that, okay, we got paid, so the house is now yours. No. They come back when you go on the third day, they've already got their money, they say to you, okay, this is the agreement, you pay so much every month.
When you go to a bank and you sign the papers for a loan, whether it's a mortgage or a car loan or a student loan or any kind of consumer loan, the minute you sign on the loan papers, the bank takes the papers and they go and get paid the entire amount of the loan from your trust account. That's right. They've been paid the entire loan off from the very beginning. And then they turn around and double dip, and they charge you the same amount that they already got paid. I bet you've got a thing or two to say to your bank when you find out about this.
Consider this my resignation.
And if that's not enough of a shocker, wait until you hear what I've got to say next. The Queen of England owns all the land in the entire world, including the land under your own house.
So let's talk about allodium title. What is allodium title? Why is it so important?
Okay, allodium title is important because you do not own the land. They tell you it's freehold, but it's not freehold. The land is owned by the Crown. All the land in England.
I'm a farmer in Minnesota, and you're saying that my land is owned by the Queen.
Yes.
I'm a farmer in Mozambique.
Your land is owned by the Queen.
The Queen of England.
The Queen of England. She owns all the land.
So now that you're awake to all of this, the landscape out there looks a little different, doesn't it? So what are we going to do about it? Well, we're not just going to sit around.
May very well be a self-perpetuating, unconscious form of brainwashing created by a world totalitarian government based on money, and that all of this is much more dangerous than one thinks, and somebody who's asleep will not say no. That we're living in some kind of Orwellian nightmare now, and that everything that you hear now contributes to turning you into a robot. I think that New York is the new model for the new concentration camp, where the camp has been built by the inmates themselves, and the inmates are the guards, and they have this pride in this thing they've built. They've built their own prison, and so they exist in a state of schizophrenia, where they are both guards and prisoners, and as a result, they no longer have, having been lobotomized, the capacity to leave the prison they've made, or to even see it as a prison.
We get our freedoms back, yeah, when we grow a f***ing pair of bollocks, alright? Grow a f***ing spine, okay? and stand up against this tyrannical bollocks. All right?
Fortunately for all of you, there have been some people that have been standing up and growing a spine and organizing. And they are called the American States Assembly and American States Nationals. And they are taking back their power, and they invite you to join them. The plan is to restore the nation by building the rightful government from the ground up, called the de jure government. And then removing from office illegitimate, fraudulent government called the de facto government. We invite you to join us on this exciting adventure to rebuild a free America and a legitimate government that we have not seen in this nation for 150 years.